live on here.
And good to go.
Hang on. Hold on.
Stand in front of it. World wire. There we go. Okay. Go from the top.
Start yours as well.
It's a little janky.
Am I live?
Yeah, you're all live.
Okay. I'm live? Okay.
Yeah.
Everybody live?
We're working on YouTube right now.
Hey, Robby Gordon here. We're 2 minutes from getting ready to start, and we'll do a complete walkthrough of the Speed UTV. We've done them for the last 3 weeks. Obviously, we're not going to show everything the same time, so we started to delete stuff out of this presentation. We put new stuff into this presentation that you haven't seen before, and we'll get started here in just a little bit. Give me a second. As we're waiting, I think that what, 2 minutes, I'll do a quick walk around with my phone and take you guys on a quick shop tour. Sure, bring both. We'll go for a quick shop tour. Over here in this area is what we have shipping. There's a lot of parts that we've got here and out of California. We build all the suspension components here, water pumps here, misalignment, steering racks. There's a lot of components that they get shipped from the North Carolina shop. Over here I've got a Speed, or actually a double X. Brought something over a little different into the camera this time. Kind of show you the standard front suspension. We can do some walk-arounds here. Next week I intend to get a couple other brands, potentially a Can-Am and a Polaris, into the shop, and we'll do some walk-arounds with those cars as well. Over here is the Speed UTV. This is the Textron Double X that was converted into a 4-seater that we used in the beginning. This was one of the prototype cars which we displayed at Sand Sports, and obviously a lot of stuff has changed in the car since then, but at least gives you an idea of what it is. And interior, obviously you can see us doing some fit and finish. Got the new flat screen dash that the new cars will have. The Speed seats that will come in the new cars. These are carbon seats, so these will be in the production car. I need to probably clarify that here pretty soon. It's the first 500 cars of each model. First 500 of each model will be RG limited edition Speed. They come with UHMW roof, carbon fiber seats, 4-point harnesses, beadlock wheels, tires that we're going to talk about today, 30-inch tires. Those will be basically the limited edition stuff, as well as proper harnesses. So when we produce a car, the first 500 of each model will get 5-point seat belts, custom steering wheel, roof, tires, wheels. It's probably, if you look at these seats, I think we have them somewhere around $600. Plastic seats. Big upgrade right there. And I'll take you through our workbench. Some OG original buggy wheels. We use them a lot during the design process. Want to make sure we had our offsets right. I've got some Speed RC cars. We've got our shock that has the 360 reservoir. Somebody last week commented on this 72 lower A-arm. And they said, hey, I thought the arms were reversible. Remember, we're still producing parts for the Textron Double X as well. We have the Ron Davis radiator. This is a prototype radiator that will go into a car that we're currently building. We have our clutch locks. A lot of people don't know about our clutch lock system, but this holds the bolt from coming off on the clutch lock with vibration. Those seem to happen a lot. Water pumps. We've got our billet water pumps. Steering support gusset kits. race hubs that are shouldered into the splines here, so all the brake rotor load is not just on the bolts or on the studs, it's registered into the diff or into the hub. This is our positive locking CV. This will be front and rear, and if you look at how big that stub is, it's massive compared to my finger. You know, if you look over here, and it's massive compared to what we're going to do on the Speed UTV front as well. So what we've learned in the rear, we've adapted right over to the front diff as well. This is a Speed toolbox. We've been working on this for quite a while. This will be something by the time we have the cars out, it will be up and ready as well. And then obviously walking through our setup area and machine shop. So that's a quick little walk around. Obviously I've talked for 3 minutes too long and we'll get started. So thank you for joining us today on the Speed UTV, and we will get started with the presentation. The last 3 presentations that I've done have been based on the four-seat UTV, and we are producing 3 models. We will produce a 4-seater, which will be the first car to come off the assembly line, followed by a UTT, followed by a 2-seat short wheelbase turbo car. So we've been talking a lot about the 4-seat, and we'll talk more about the 4-seat. And the reason we talk about the 4-seat is all the parts from this point backwards and all the parts from this point forward are the same on all 3 models. So if you have a buddy that has a 2-seater and you've got a 4-seater, that means you have the same components between the cars. And I think that's like that on a lot of other manufacturers, but on this one, I know 100% they're exactly the same. All right, fast facts. We've talked about this every week. I'll be quick on it. 230 horsepower, 120-inch wheelbase for the 4-seater. 15 inches of ground clearance, 32-inch tall tires stock, and they will clear a 35-inch tall tire. Questions of the week. Sean for Lorenz Industries has beaten me up quite a bit. We've actually had some good bantering back and forth. Basically, I told him at one point, I will send you some popcorn, and after thinking about it, I'm going to send him a box of Jack in the Box, or what is it? Cracker Jacks. He's getting Cracker Jacks. Sorry. Jack in the Box is my morning breakfast. They've been closed lately in the morning. All right, so Sean, the question was, are we going to, well, let me just read it. How many parts and gears are already developed and being used and available on the market? What's the percentage of trans going to have to be poured in to make this into furnaces and make new molds? Building gears and shafts and molds from scratch is a big challenge we see you facing in the next 7 months. It is a big challenge. The whole car was a big challenge, but it's not just a gearbox. It's tires, it's wheels, it's motor, it's shocks, it's nuts and bolts, it's engine studs, head studs. I'm very fortunate that I have very good suppliers that we work with, and obviously good friends in the industry that we've had relationships with over the last 30 years. And without those relationships, we'd be facing a lot steeper learning path, but also without the experience. And so with that said, the gearbox is an all-new gearbox. Bearings, they're standard. You can buy them off the shelf. We will use good quality bearings in our products. And can you adjust this one over so I'm kind of looking at both of them the same? We will use good bearings, we will use good shafts, we will use good materials as we produce this car. We got one shot to produce a winning car here. You know, back in the day I did the Polaris Razor, and at one point I think those upper management told me that they had surpassed my engineering abilities. What they seem to forget is it's not just my engineering abilities, it's a bunch of others' experience as well. And I'm fortunate enough to have some great relationships in the off-road industry, IndyCar industry, NASCAR industry, where we're able to lean on some very talented engineering staff. And we have been able to produce the car that you're, or be able to design the car that you're seeing here behind me. Actually looking at your page. So bearings and bolts will be high quality. They will be new shafts, there will be new molds, there will be new forgings, there'll be new grindings. Example, when we built the portal system for the front of the trophy truck, it was a completely designed new system. Within 2.5 weeks, we had gears cut, heat treated, ground, polished, and ready to go into the system. That's obviously building a couple for a race car. We've got a few months here to get the stuff done, but the tolerances have been working. We've learned from all the experiences over the years, and we have some great partners. Obviously, being able to lean on Albans and Ron and the staff over at Weddle, you know, we've been able to lean on these guys and ask questions so that we make sure we build a quality product right from the get-go. This one here is from TCC 553. With most other UTV brands, the Diff and Gearbox are weak. Their weak links seems to be cheaper China bearings. Will Speed be using a better quality bearing versus the competition? Assuming Albans and Weddle's input, they would be recommend a better bearing. Also, is there some sort of built-in fuse to protect the driveline? Great question. Obviously, I think I answered your question in the last one as well, but we will be using quality parts. We'll be using quality bearings, and we have leaned on Albans, Weddle, and other highly qualified engineering guys out of California that have built some parts for the Hummers back in the day when we ran the Dakar. And you know, I think, like I said, without their support and without them willing to jump in and help us on the project, it would have been a lot more difficult task, but we've been able to build and move forward. So bearings are a key part of the rotating system. We'll provide the highest quality parts we can. The built-in fuse, we're going to talk about today in our front and rear diff presentation, so I'll get to that here a little bit later. Maybe it was covered already, but what tire we'll be using? Sorry, my question wasn't transmission related. Actually, I'll get into tires a little bit for you. I don't know the brand we're going to use as the manufacturer, but I do know what our tire is going to look like. So I can show you that. And we have, I would say we're 75% going to build our own tire for the UTV as well. So our own shocks, our own tires, our own wheels, gearbox, motor, pretty much a purpose-built UTV for the industry. All right, let's move into the conversation for today. I said I would talk about something new. It's taken me 10 minutes to get there, so sorry about that. I'll try to get faster with each one of these. Maybe you like the lot of questions answered, but we cut it down to 3 today. High pressure cast aluminum, park, neutral, park, reverse, neutral, low, high, cruise. I believe this is the first 3-speed CVT in the industry. Maybe I'm wrong, but 3-speed CVT. And the reason for cruise is, think about getting on those long gravel roads down in Mexico, and you're gonna go 30 miles wide open. Why do you wanna sit there at max revs, click up another gear, and rock on, have some fun? So 3-speed, 3 forward drive gears with a CVT. 2 shift levers. This is quite interesting. A lot of people probably ask, why 2 shift levers? This will be your primary lever, which will be your park, reverse, neutral, first, second, and third. We believe that we'll be able to do shift on the fly, but I don't want to commit to that 100% right now. So by CVT, you could put it into high gear and drive away from high gear, or overdrive. You could pop into middle gear, second, or first and drive away. I will guarantee you'll be able to do that, and I can promise you we're working on a shift without lift program for this UTV, 3-speed. Back inside, I'm going to kind of get into the gearbox now a little bit and start showing you what the inside looks like. This gearbox has the largest input shaft in the industry. So by the largest input shaft means we get to put the biggest bearing. This is where all the load comes in off the CVT. Big bearings on the inside and on the outside, and the largest input shaft in the industry. industry leading gears. So I brought this Mac toolbox over here to me, and I'll move it over to you, but this is the, actually, yeah, driver's side would be my right. This is the drive gear off the XX. And as you can see here, she's beat up a little bit. So I'll go to all three cameras. This is not near wide enough for what we're gonna do with 300 horsepower. So we have doubled the width of this gear plus some. So this gear here is now this gear here. And as you can imagine, 2.5 times larger than a standard XX. Probably the coolest part in the whole gearbox, something we've been working on for a while, industry exclusive torque limiting clutch. We have dropped a torque limiter in here. It's built into this gear that's a drop gear that takes us down to the spool. And it's the gear that obviously is the loaded gear. So it would have torque limiters in first, second, third, reverse, any gear you want. It's built in here. It's a series of clutches with a pressure plate built into it. And we will optimize during testing what torque we want to see. Someone asked, will we be able to get in there and adjust it? The answer is, if you're an experienced gearbox guy, you could probably go to Weddle Industries or one of these high quality gearbox companies that we have a relationship with, and we'll get you in there and you can adjust on that clutch if you choose to. So, industry exclusive torque leading clutch will be built in to the rear transaxle of the Speed UTV gearbox. This will be on the 2-seater, the 4-seater, and the UTT. So this is something new, and it's something that I feel we definitely need, because one of the things we struggle with these UTVs is being in the big hoops like down in San Felipe, trying to run across the bumps and bang, you either spit the drive shafts out of the thing or you kill a belt. We need something to give us a little bit of torque limiter, and everybody wonders, why does a trophy truck run a torque limiter? Why do you guys run a gearbox? Why do you run a clutch? We need that torque limiter as a sponge. That's what this is gonna do. This will allow it to slip and allow it to continue and hopefully save the gears. What we gotta be careful of is when we're setting it up, that we don't put too much slip in it and you burn up. So we will work on that. That'll be one of our test team products that we'll be working on throughout the summer, and we will get it dialed in before we deliver cars to you guys. Another thing new in the UTV industry is we have dogged the gears. So people will recognize this. This will be similar to a Hewlin, Albin's, proper Thornton gearbox. It will have dogs, and you will be able to shift this thing on dogs. So that will be one component that's new to the UTV industry in a production vehicle. So it will be dogged. Front differential. I'll go to the questions first. Manual, 4-wheel drive, and front locker. Basically, we talked about the second lever, so the lower lever closer to the driver, that is going to be your 2-wheel drive, 4-wheel drive, and then pull it back one more lever, and that'll lock you into a full locking diff. Shift on the fly, thanks to the dogs. That's what we use for shifting. Even NASCAR gearboxes have dogs in them, and that allows us to shift. Largest ring and pinion in the UTV industry, the biggest diameter ring and pinion. That'll make it stronger. Obviously, if I'm going to build a car that has more power, bigger tires, faster speeds, we're going to have to give you stronger components, and that's what we've done. And then we have our patented CV locking mechanism for the front and rear. I think I'll walk you guys through that today. You guys might not be familiar with it. It's something we built in our aftermarket components for the double X. And this is our dual plunging axle. I'll pull one of those out and I'll show you how that works. Here's inside the front diff. As you see, it has the standard and the locking CV. The locking mechanism works right there. And as we go through here, it's dogged as well for engaged, disengaged. And it also rocks another slider for spool and non-spool. So for guys that like to go to King of the Hammers and go rock crawling, Yes, we will be able to lock these together, front and rear, and you will have a four-wheel drive, fully locked thing. Obviously, it's going to push like a dump truck until you unlock it. So this is only for low speed, climbing, rock crawling, mudding, stuff like that, is when you want to lock your front diff. Again, something new for the industry. That torque limiter that we put in the rear diff heading down to the spool, well, if we're going to build one, we might as well build one that can pop into the front diff as well. So now we've got a separated front and rear differentials, which means if you increase speed on the front and decrease speed on the rear, we've got a slipper clutch here as well. So it has torque limiters in the front drivetrain as well, which is going to allow this to take big spikes and slip that clutch. Hopefully, is there any questions about, have we seen any questions up there, Daniel, on the four-wheel locking mechanisms? Anybody ask me anything instantly as we're going?
Maybe just explain some of these testing on these CVs
yeah.
here.
So, this goes back to the questions of the week and how do you know what to build and why would you build stuff like that? This comes from 5 years of testing. And this is 5 years of testing with CVs, material specs, how they break, how you put your radiuses in, what sharpness, what material. This all comes from experience and testing. I mean, this is the outer CV from Bailey Cole's front diff at King of the Hammers. Snap that right off. This is where the torque limiter is going to come into play. And this would be connected on this guy here. And obviously the CVs here just slipped it off. One of the biggest problems was the radius. There's a radius here, and how you go from a flat to a 90, how you radius that component. Those are some of the things that we've really put a lot of effort into. This is our Speed dual plunging CV that we sell on Speed side by side currently. If you look in here, you can see there's no sharp radiuses. We do an undercut, a nice radius. We roll onto a ground machine surface, transition into splines. Then we got our locking mechanism here. And then we've got our threaded CV cap, which is this component here, which holds the ball in here. And when we're getting all this travel in the rear, we're actually not plunging on the splines. We're plunging on this ball track. And how this ball track slides inside here, this is how the Speed UTV can get 25 inches of wheel travel with no track change. That's a big difference from a Can-Am and a Polaris and a Kawasaki and a Honda and a Yamaha and everybody else. We have the most consistent track suspension in the industry with the trailing arms and the offset unequal length A-arms and the way they change camber and change track. We try to keep our tires in the same position at all times.
Got a good question here.
All right, let's go for it, Casey.
Does the front drive release when you're off the gas? We have that in the short course. Just curious. How will it do?
Okay. Hi, Kyle. Excellent question. And you asked if the front drive releases while off the gas. And I think I understand what you guys use there. Probably got pretty much a sprag bearing, like on an RC car, something that unlocks. Unfortunately, we don't have that. The reason we don't have that, it's a great component. Got something similar to it in the Unicorn. It's something we would use for off-road racing like what you do. And yes, it'd be cool to grab the emergency brake and back it in and stand on the gas. But unfortunately, with a lot of our customers, we have guys that are typical off-roaders and they don't just want four-wheel drive going forward, they need it going in reverse. As a speed accessory component, it's something we will definitely build for the guys that want to go racing. If you want a one-way drive, we've built them before and we've run them in the Dakar cars, and we would obviously sell that as an accessory item that you can drop in between the two drive shafts in the middle of the car. Great question, Kyle, and I appreciate you paying attention today and joining in. Saw a cool picture of you and your family, your brother, your dad. Awesome, and just gives me chills because it's the same way I grew up, doing it, working hard and just out there having fun. Keep up the good work.
Someone had a question. The first round of Wildcat Double X's had major CV problems. Is the problem now solved, and what has changed?
Question was, I'm sure you guys heard that from Daniel. Sorry, I was thinking I had to repeat it for you. That CV problem, unfortunately, was a battle that I lost during the design process with Techstorm. You know, I wanted this dual plunging CVs, and basically I got outvoted into a plunging shaft. And I got to be honest, I knew from the get-go that was never going to work, but unfortunately, I didn't have design control like I do now. We have used our dual plunging. We have sold hundreds, and when I say hundreds, hundreds and hundreds of 64-inch dual plunging axles. We have the fix for the Double X. I wish you guys would have got the product from the get-go, but that again was not my decision. Got outvoted on that one, and they put the plunger in the middle of the shaft. And anybody that has any experience in off-road understands if you're on the gas, you're not going to plunge unless you have a circumference radius. And we needed a rotating CV to be able to make that thing plunge without binding.
Spiders in the front wheel.
Great question. Actually, I got it out here. Had someone just ask, how many spiders in the front diff? So here is a front diff on a Double X. And as you can see, there's 2 slots right here for the 2 spiders. We raced last year at Dakar with a 4-spider front diff, and the Speed UTV will come with a larger, much larger than this, 4-spider front diff. So glad you asked the question. We've got it. Back to, this was a 2-spider, and the Speed UTV will have a 4-spider front diff, and we'll show you pictures next week of that. All right, I'm going to move into the rest of the presentation. Thank you for your questions today. Really stoked that Kyle LeDuc joined in. Look at him as he's obviously a champion, lots of experience, and I'm a fan. So keep up the good work. Right here is the wheelbase we talked about last week. Real simple, just want to note about it one more time. If you add 41 inches to the center wheelbase of the front tires, 41 inches, that will give you your overall length. 2-seat wheelbase, 95 inches. 2-seat wheelbase on the UTT, ideal perfect race car, 110 inches. 4-seat wheelbase, 120 inches. I believe that is the shortest high performance sport UTV in the industry. Why do we want it to be shorter? Now you can take a 4-seater on the trails, you can get around the trees easier, less apt to get high centered on the sand dunes. Again, another perfect desert wheelbase, 120 inch wheelbase. Any questions there? You see any questions, Daniel? You want to?
Just about the camera angles.
Just about camera angle, fixed angle. All right, we'll get into body. As you can see, go ahead, you question?
No, I'm just saying the camera angle is fine here.
Okay.
Front wheel travel.
Front wheel travel, 25 inches of wheel travel, front and rear. 25 inches of wheel travel. Body is coming along. You know, I'm showing you body stuff every week. We had a long body review last night. I'm excited where we're at from, call it center of the tire, backwards. We got a little bit of work to do here in the bed. I'll show you what we did from last night to today. Jeff is his name, right?
Yep.
Jeff and his group is doing a wonderful job out in Northern California. Thank you guys. Do appreciate your hard work.
So I had a question, what's the leg room in the rear seat?
Leg room in the rear seat. Yes. Do you guys want to do that now?
Okay.
Yeah, let's do that question real quick. We'll take some cameras and go for a walk.
You got it.
Take the whole thing? Perfect. All right, we're gonna go for a walk. Kyle, how tall are you?
6'4".
6'4". We're gonna put a 6'4" in the back of the UTV.
These all legs.
Yeah, and he's all legs.
6'4", how long legs?
Stupid long.
How long?
Get a tape measure. Max, can you grab a tape measure?
All right, Max gonna get his tape measure. Here's Kyle, 6'4", sitting in the back. The way he can put his legs around the front seat, he has plenty of room. I believe
Kinda
he's
hard to
comfortable
see
back there. Can you see?
Yep, no problem.
I will climb into the front seat. Obviously, he can start looking at my bald spot because I know I'm going to go bald design in this car. There we go. There's two of us sitting inside the vehicle. Max, you want to go for a ride?
Oh, yeah.
Come on, get in. Let's go for a ride. Max has been designing parts. Both Daniel and Kyle have been teaching Max. And what component on the car did you get?
The shock perch.
The spring perch. You designed it and built it. Did you run FEA on it? Look in the camera.
Yes.
You ran the FEA. It's going to pass.
Yeah.
And you drew that during class?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're taking him to school here at Speed UTV, and Max designed the spring perch on the bottom of the shock. And unfortunately, we could drive this car, but Casey took the keys from us today.
So, AG Whitehead says, how fast can I hit the bunny jumps in the 4 seats?
All right, I'm going to get AJ. AJ, where you at, brother? AJ asked, how fast can you hit the bunny jump at Parker in the 4-seater? Man, all I can say is I'm glad that I got to watch you go before me during qualifying, because I probably went off the same line you did. You, unfortunately, landed in a 3 to 4 foot dig out hoop, and it was gnarly. I'm glad you're okay. Obviously, we've been friends for a long time, but let's keep this about 50 miles an hour, not 150 like you tried to do.
Kyle, what's your inseam?
Kyle's inseam?
45.
No.
That's what he said.
You
Inseam,
don't know what pants you bought?
36-inch long inseam, sat in the back of the 4-seat. We'll go back to work here. This is why it's honestly really nice to have an arsenal of cars, components, parts, parts that we did 10 years ago, 20 years ago. Things we've done from the...
They want Kyle on
they want Kyle on the front. We'll talk about the front seat because we've had Kyle on the front seat, and we have addressed the dash, and we've addressed the way the dash comes in and meets your shin. And we put that on the same angle as what your shin is, so as you're sitting in there, your shin would lean right against the dash and have a nice pad there. But we've increased the, let's call it butt to knee length, 4 inches over the XX. So we have 4 inches more room for longer knees in the front of the 2-seat XX. Now the 4-seater, if you're a basketball player, somebody bigger, obviously we will build cars to work for you. We will change your shoulder bar, we will address it so that everybody can drive our cars. Our goal is to have a car that's, one, safe, and that will be next weekend's conversation, next Wednesday's conversation, will be structure of competitive vehicles and why we designed the Speed UTV the way I did, or the way we did. All right, this is the top view of the body. Like I said, we're still working on the front. We're still working on the tailgate area. Told you guys before, I have till the end of the month. I'm gonna use till the very last day, but we need to start pulling molds on these, start pulling tooling, and at the end of April, we're building. UTT, this was an older vision, but a lot of people have asked, what is the UTT roll cage gonna look like? Because I've kind of showed you guys what we're designing for and what the car is built for from the get-go. We built so that all vehicles can be air conditioned, all vehicles can be heated. That will be a summer of 2021 models. We'll have cabs, windows, air conditioning, heat. But the roll cage on the UTT, if you look at this shock mount right here, this roll bar is going to hit the top of this shock mount perfect where it sits. So this is really what the roll cage is going to look like on the UTT. I will get you a roll cage design with the body by next Wednesday so you guys can see what the open cockpit UTT looks like. Here is the two-seater. As you look at here, the bottom A dials right on top of the shock. There's a reason why we do certain things. It's all built by design, and there is a rhyme for reason. For years, I've watched guys, fabricators, and what I thought were good fabricators, fit tubes right in the middle of a tube, and I just sit back and scratch my head. It's like, where's your junction? Where's your intersection? Why'd you do that? Some people, it's just a bracket or tab, but anything structurally, suspension, roll cage, these things need to tie together, guys. Rear, front view and rear. This is just views we're working with. This does not have the fender on the front. There's another adapter fender. One thing I heard a lot of is, what if you want to take the fenders off for rock crawlers? You will be able to take the front fender off on this. There'll be an extra section you can pop off without making the car look really dorky. Here's another view of where we've been bodywork wise. Suspension bottom down on a 35-inch tall tire, ride height on a 35, ride height on 35s. Last week I told you we're looking at the rear bed and trying to get some design. Obviously you see we're starting to get closer with the body here. We'll get into tail lights next week, but working on this. Really like the way that car looks. The bed, 35 inches, front to back. Now, a lot of confusion, UTT, UTV. Every vehicle we are building, coming out the door today, beds are 48 inches wide, 35 inches long, except for the UTT, we'll gain another 15 inches here. So we'll be 48 by 50 on the UTT, but every car is a truck, every one. So we do not have a sport bed. Every one of them has a truck bed. So when you call your buddy, because we've been getting a lot of calls, and hey, I had John buy a UTT 4-seater. No, John bought our standard limited edition 4-seater that comes with a truck bed. So all cars come with the bed. Reason for coming with the bed, like I said last week, sorry, these are the photos I could find. This guy here, he wanted to put a 30-inch tall tire in his Polaris. Can't even stick it in there. The Can-Am does not fit. I've seen tons of Can-Ams that have the spare tire literally mounted up on the roof. That is the last thing you want to do with your car, guys. You're going to put yourself in a position to roll that thing over. Keep your center of gravity as low as you can. When you're adding accessories, keep them low. Steering wheel, we talked about this last week. We will have a 10-inch flat screen configurable display that will have Bluetooth and Wi-Fi connectability. And we will have capability of screen mirroring. So as I'm doing here on my iPad, you will be able to do that in the center section of your dash, which will still give you your controls on left and right for water temp, oil temp, RPM, tack, speed, whatever you may want. You will be able to configure your dash. Each guy will be able to configure their dash from 4 or 5 different designs. And you will be able to Bluetooth your maps, find my friends, all the other things, so that we know where all the Speed UTVs are at Glamis. Oh, we got into tires. Last week we had a conversation about tires and wheels and what people liked. We had over 600 people. 600 people out of our Wednesday night shows have been asking about questions, monitoring. We had 600 questions. So this is where it came out. 32% came out to the RG. How many?
It's the 14 spoke.
14 spoke.
Yeah.
And then we had the RG Concave, which had the largest at 46. And over on the right was the trophy truck style wheel, which would be RG flat, had 19%. I still like this one. You guys have voted for this one. I believe we're going to give you 2 options of wheels right from the get-go. And that's only, just so we're clear, only for the limited production vehicles. We are building 500 4-seaters, 500 2-seaters, and 500 UTTs that come with beadlock wheels, 32-inch tires, carbon seats, 5-point harnesses, $1 unlock key. That's going to change also after the 500 vehicles. So if you don't have your order in, you didn't get one of those 500, that's going to change. There's going to be a bunch of things that will change, and for the same price as the $32,000, you'll be getting a $32,000 base vehicle. So coming soon. 4-seaters are almost gone. UTTs have closed in and surpassed. 61 4-seaters is what is left on. 61 4-seaters as of today. We have sold over 70 UTTs, and I think we're at 65 2-seaters. These are pre-orders that come in November. We'll have cars starting at delivery November, Thanksgiving, and our goal is to have 1,500 cars delivered by Christmas time. I see the engineers sweating here in the background, guys. All right, yes, you saw it right. Speed tires. So we are going to work with our current partners. We're going to give them the first opportunity to produce the tire for us. If they choose not to do it, we'll produce the Speed tire ourselves. And the reason for the Speed tire is if you have friends that ride Polarises or Can-Ams, it's going to be really easy for them just to follow the tracks to where you went, because the dust is going to settle. Shocks, we talked about 3.25 internal bypass, 12-inch stroke, 360-degree spinning reservoir, adjustable rebound and compression in the reservoir, dual rate springs, fender reservoir for cooling, aluminum shock body, aluminum reservoir. Hydro electric power steering, steering rack, hydraulic ram, 1.7 to 5 ratio, less than a half a degree of bump steer for 25 inches of wheel travel. Front bulkhead. Structurally, this is the right way to build a 4-wheel drive off-road car. We built this on other vehicles. We tested it. It's on the Unicorn, and it has transferred over to the Speed UTV. Engine, 230 horsepower on 91 octane, 300 horsepower on 85, 999cc, turbocharged, 2 cylinders per, 2 injectors per cylinder, 4-valve, dual overhead cam. Bore is 98 millimeters, stroke is 66.2, 2 cylinders, 4 valves, forged crank rods, pistons. We have optimized the head flow. This is very different than anything in the industry. We have adjusted properly exhaust intake, and has dedicated cooling system for spark plugs. Ports are designed by, again, friends, and it's good to have friends in the industry that are experienced. And we're leaning on 120 years of experience combined between the 3 guys that are working on the cylinder heads. And when you look at that, and you look, this guy has 40 years, this guy has 40 years, this guy has 30 years, or 40 years. The experience you learn from all forms of motorsport over the years is how we're able to produce a car like we're doing. VP has been a long-time partner for us. They're a sponsor of one of our stadium super trucks. One thing they wanted to do is they have a coupon code, because obviously you guys are watching this. They make wonderful components. We use a lot of their components on our SST trucks, the trophy truck, and they've got a 20% discount on octane boost, real octane boost, cool down cooling systems. These products we will use as we build the Speed UTV. Stabilizers, brake fluid. This one's impressive. 622 degrees Fahrenheit boiling point. Wet boiling point, 404 degrees. We use this product on the SST trucks. It's excellent. 4-cycle engine, which will have less foaming. It's a synthetic. We've got good products on oils, and all of our friends until April 29th get a 20% discount as a promo code. SummitRacing.com, go to VP Racing Fuel, 20% VP products till the end of the month. Talked about spindles, why we designed the spindles, what experience we have with the spindles. This is the spindle that we ran on the Speed UTV at Dakar 2 years ago. So what I'm giving you as a production component is a very, very high-end, high-performance component. Shoulder bolts, large bearings, spindle hub has a snout on it, registered for the brake rotor, has bolts and studs, large bearing. I believe it's the largest bearing in the industry as a wheel bearing. Seamless other chassis specs, seamless tubing, added FIA A-pillar support. We'll talk about comparing our cars to other vehicles next week. This is going to be an interesting conversation. We will show you why we design things the way we do, and why, if I was in the industry to buy a UTV, why I would seriously consider converting the car you have today into a Speed UTV. A-post. A. A's. A. Completely built like a bridge and a structure. Properly structured race car, seamless tubing. Patented V-bars front and rear that work as a spine. Patented roof spine. And next week we're going to talk about Can-Ams, Polaris's, Yamahas, Kawasaki's, and everything you really want to ask questions about, because I will tell you the reasons why I wouldn't do that when I design a car. So tune in for next week. Talk to you next Wednesday. Have a safe week. Keep social distance. Be safe. Love you guys.